I'm having fun learning something new. After many years, I've decided that now is the right time to do it. For the first time in my life, I am a motorcycle owner. I've bought this lovely little putt-around Honda Dream, and it is an absolute classic. I asked a few friends, what should I buy? I'm looking for something to learn on, looking for something to ride, just putt around the neighbourhood and get used to being on a powered two-wheeled vehicle. I'm pretty used to being on a bicycle, but I've never ever really ridden a motorcycle much at all. I'll get into why a little bit later, but first I want to introduce you to this lovely little bike here. This is my Honda Dream. It's 100cc. I did the right thing. I called a couple of friends and said, hey, this is what I'm looking at doing. And one of them happened to say to me, well, what are you looking at? How much are you looking at spending? And I told him, and he said, well, I think I've got a bike I can sell you. And thank you, Kunwin, for doing this for me. It's been a really easy way to get a new motorcycle, or to get my first motorcycle. It's far from new, not even sure how old it is, but it is just one of those bikes that will keep going and going and going and is extremely reliable. It's very simple, it's a very basic bike, and it's just a lovely little bike that will help me get around the neighbourhood and enjoy life on two wheels. It's a wonderful small motorcycle that's perfect for me to learn to ride on. And it fits in completely well with the neighbourhood. Most of the guys around here, most of the people, particularly people my age, they're putting around on little bikes still. They're not going fast, they're just doing it slowly, they're just getting from A to B and probably not even enjoying it that much. I don't know really how much people enjoy it, but man, I am having so much fun exploring this neighbourhood. We've been here for 6 years, and yeah, I'm sure I've been giving it some thought about getting a motorcycle. My wife and I talk about it, and we just decided that now, for a number of different reasons, now is the right time. So I've invested in a little Honda Dream, and it's teaching me well. It's I think they call it a semi-automatic. I've got to change gears with my left foot, but there's no clutch, so it's a little bit easier. Not that I think that would have been too difficult to learn with, but it's really nice. It's just really good to get around on, practice changing gears, practice leaning in and turning and cornering and just doing that side of things right at a very low speed. I took it down to the local motorcycle mechanic shop last week to get it tweaked a little bit. Sometimes it's a bit hard to start, especially on a cold morning. And it's also got no speedometer on it. And when I went back to get it, he said to me, well, yeah, fix this and fix that, starts easier now. And I said, oh, what about the speedometer? He said, oh, that's expensive to fix and you don't really need one. So there it is for, saving 20 or 30 bucks that it would cost to fix it. I still don't have a speedo, but that's okay. I'm not going fast. I'm not going anywhere in a hurry. And I'm certainly not going out on any main roads. These back roads around here are absolutely perfect. They're narrow, they're winding, they've got a combination of concrete on some roads and then other roads are gravel. So I'm learning to ride very slowly, very carefully on loose gravel, but it's pretty well worn. Most of it's pretty old, so it's not really that much surface gravel, but I think it's a good thing to learn to do. Actually learn to drive a car in the same way. I can remember taking a mate's car for a driving lesson when we were up camping one day and getting into a little bit of a fishtail situation as we approached a bridge because I lost it on the corner. But within a couple of seconds had corrected it and away we were going again. So I think learning to ride in these circumstances is quite perfect. As I said, I've got no need for speed. I'm in no hurry to go anywhere, so I'm just taking my time. I'm riding it so slowly that even our bird is following us down here. I'm down in the rice fields now and she's come with me. She's done that a couple of times recently. She'll just fly along with me and come for an outing, which is quite nice. She doesn't usually come this far. She's usually taken off back home by now, but there we go. She's good company. I've been learning about riding a motorcycle. I'm talking to friends and making use of that resource that we've got called YouTube. These days it is absolutely fantastic. And so there's tons of great information, tons of great videos about learning to ride. Some of them I'm bouncing off others and saying, hey, what's this? Is this good information? I don't really know because I don't have any experience. But it is really a fantastic thing to be learning when I'm 59 years old. I'm nearly finished 6 decades on the planet, so I thought it was time to learn to ride a motorcycle. Something I've been wanting to do for a while, and now we've got good practical reason because we just do need another vehicle. My wife's out in the car most of the time and away at work, so now I've got a motorcycle so I can be a bit more independent. If I need to go and help her or do other things during the day, I can get out and about around our neighbourhood quite easily and quite comfortably. And learning to do something new is always interesting. I know it's always going to take an amount of time and some good study and a lot of practice. This is what I teach when I'm teaching people photography. The more you pick your camera up, the quicker you'll learn it, the more intuitive you'll become and the more confident you'll become. And I'm finding it's the same thing riding a motorcycle. Even if I can get out for 15 or 20 minutes in a day, I'm really happy. I really love it, and I'm just thinking about it, concentrating on what I'm doing, being incredibly focused because I want to learn to do this really well. And I'm sure that riding a motorcycle is one of the things that will keep you sharp as long as you're really focused, as long as you're really focused on learning to do it well. It is a really good challenge for all your senses. It's so important to be so focused and so concentrated when I'm riding. But I'm also looking to get to a point where I can be quite confident riding my bike. I'm 59 years old, I'm not 19 years old, so I'm very aware of paying attention to what really matters and learning to ride well. So far I've avoided being in any traffic. There's virtually no traffic around here and most of it is very, very slow moving along these back roads. So I'm not dealing with traffic yet. That can wait till later, that can come a bit later. Some of the traffic we've got coming in over here, there's a herd of buffalo approaching, so they might wander in and say hi in a bit, but that's sort of the traffic that we're getting on these back roads. I'm quite often plodding along, puttering away, and I'll come through a herd of buffalo or a herd of cows that are walking on the roadway or crossing over in between the rice fields. I expect before long I'll be quite confident riding this little bike. I'm already feeling much more confident than I was a month or two ago when I bought it. And it's just a matter of getting used to it, getting that muscle memory working and just becoming familiar with the bike so I don't need to really concentrate on the function of it. And this is exactly the same way I teach when I teach photography. If you can get so used to your camera that you don't have to think about every change that you're making, you can do it intuitively then you'll enjoy the experience a lot more. And I'm pretty sure that I'll find this with motorcycle riding as well, that as I get more confident, as I practice more, I'll just have that more fluidity in riding, and then be able to enjoy where I'm riding and have time to think, have time to contemplate. I've actually just finished reading a book that I read many years ago when I was traveling in Canada. I was hitchhiking. I hitchhiked from the west coast to the east coast in Canada, and as I was doing that, I was reading a book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. At that stage of my life, I don't think I'd ever ridden a motorcycle. I had friends that ride, and they enjoyed it so much, and I just picked this book up and I realized this guy was doing a road trip from somewhere towards the east coast of the United States and across to the west coast. So we were traveling in opposite directions as I was reading this book, and the story of this guy and his son riding the motorcycle and just enjoying the lifestyle of being on the road and having a lot of time to contemplate and digging into a lot of pretty deep philosophical thinking. So it's been fascinating to reread this book many, many years later as I'm beginning to ride a motorcycle. So you might hear some of these themes coming into future videos, because this is another reason, part of the reason that I've got the bike is that it allows me to get out and about and be out on the road and to be in different locations where I can make videos about Northern Thai lifestyle and how much that I enjoy it. So this will be part of the philosophy, part of the thinking behind these videos and what I share in them about lifestyle here. And really so much of lifestyle in Thailand is not based around or centered around, but it certainly includes motorcycles or motor scooters. These low-powered machines are so incredibly common in Thailand. Virtually everybody knows how to ride a motorcycle. And I've often joked the kids start learning, they get their first motorcycle lesson just after they've been born and are going back home with mum and dad. They're on the back of a motorcycle, usually just cradled in mum's arms as dad's putting along back home, but this is their first experience on a motorcycle. So earlier I alluded to a couple of reasons that I haven't ever ridden a motorcycle much at all. Occasionally I've jumped on one. I was down visiting a friend of mine down south a couple of years ago during COVID. There was no traffic on the roads, and so it was a great time. He said, "Hey Kevin, you want to go for a ride?" I said, "Sure, you'll have to teach me what to do." And so he had a very easy, fully automatic motorcycle for me to ride. We rode together up and down some of the coasts of the southern part of Thailand, and it was just magical. But that's the most I've ever ridden a motorcycle in my life. I've ridden a bicycle for many, many years. And a long time ago, 41 years ago, when I was 18 years old, I got hit by a car. And so this has always been a kind of something that's dissuaded me somewhat from getting on a motorcycle, because you remember these things, and I still suffer pain from that break. I had an extremely badly broken leg, and it's kind of coming back to haunt me as I get a bit older. The pain can be quite intense. So that's very fresh in my mind, and that's a very good reminder to me always to be paying attention, to be concentrating, and to be focusing as I'm riding my motorcycle. But the other reason that I haven't ridden is really a big one, and that was that I had a younger sister who was killed in a motorcycle accident many years ago, and it was just a freak accident. There wasn't any speed involved. It was just one of those tragic things that she suffered injuries that she couldn't survive and actually died at the scene of the accident. And so therefore this has been a big deterrent for me, and mostly out of respect for my mum and dad, that I've never got a motorcycle, because that would help keep their stress levels down. So my dad used to ride. I've got a fabulous picture on my wall at home of my dad straddling this lovely old Triumph. I think it was a Thunderbolt or a Thunderbird, something like that. And even when I was growing up, I can remember Dad, he had a job one time that was, it required quite a commute, so he was riding a motorcycle. He had, I think it was a Honda. I can't remember what type of bike it was, but it was a Honda road bike. This would have been back in the 80s, I guess. And he used to ride that to work every day, but again eventually he gave up because it was too dangerous. He had a couple of spills, I think, when it was wet, and did not enjoy riding in the traffic. So these have been couple of things that I've found have inhibited my interest somewhat in a motorcycle, but really I've always been fascinated with them. I've always kind of leaned towards wanting to ride, and like I said, now nearly 60 years on the planet, I think it's about time I learned. So there she is, my little Honda Dream motor scooter. I'd like to invite you to join me as I learn to ride her, as I learn to get familiar with how to manage a motorcycle and enjoy, most of all, enjoy being in rural northern Thailand and learning a little bit more about the lifestyle here and what it's like to be living here as a foreigner. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video.